Okay, so we're looking at now the notion that Macbeth is again doing these asides, isn't he? What was an aside? What did we say an aside was? What was the purpose at a dramatic level? Holly?
It was like internal thoughts and like
Good, good. The internal thoughts spoken out loud. We have to have that because we don't have voiceovers, we don't have voice dubbing or anything like that, or subtitles in the 17th century, in 1606. So we have to have Macbeth's thoughts sort of spoken out loud. It does mean we get a really, really special insight into what is Macbeth thinking. We only ever get that from Banquo when he has his own soliloquy. What is the soliloquy? Theo. You wrote it down on the back of your bookmark. Okay, anyone else? Sophia. Good. When one character is speaking, no one can hear them other than the audience. Daniel, that's on the back of your little sheet of paper I've just given you. Yeah. Okay. The opposite of the monologue is where one character is speaking, but everyone on stage can hear them, and they're direct. It's like a lecture, if you will. But the soliloquies are the private thoughts spoken out loud, and only the audience can hear them. So the other actors are sort of pretending, oh, I can't hear them, can't hear them, can't hear them. So we have the first aside from Macbeth here. He's kind of getting lost in his own thoughts. He then comes out, speaks to Banquo. Banquo warns him. Okay, this part here is equivocation. Oftentimes, to win us to our harm, the instruments of darkness tell us truths, win us with honest trifles, to betray in deepest consequence. They give us the truth, but the truth isn't as it always seems. Okay, so this part here is this notion of equivocation. Okay, so remember, it's ambiguous language used to obscure meaning or to avoid being committed to an absolute idea. This part here, cousin's a word, I pray. He then goes off and has a chat with Ross and Angus. He's not saying we're related chaps. He's just saying, right, buddies, come over here, I need a word. Macbeth then goes back inside his thoughts. And this is the equivocation. So he says, two truths are told as happy prologues to the swelling act. Why do you think Beryl has underlined prologues and act? What's the swelling act? Edie? It could be. It could be that his status could be swelling. What else might swell? Think about what they said to Banquo. Go on. It's the whole baby thing. Again, possibly. It's tenuous, but it's possible. Okay? But however, it's as happy rose to the swelling act of the imperial theme. What's the imperial theme? Come on, think about it. What is the imperial theme? Theme as in an overall idea. Imperial means royal. Yeah? Royalty. And the theme of lineage, the theme of inheriting the throne. The theme is a wider thing because there are issues that have got to be dealt with. So we've got to get rid of Donalbain. Malcolm has got to die of a toenail infection. And then Duncan's got to die of old age. It's the theme of inheritance, okay? And then he comes out of that, I thank you, gentlemen, and then he goes back into his mind and then starts chatting. The supernatural soliciting cannot be ill, cannot be good. If ill, why hath it given me earnest of success commencing in a truth? I am Thane of Cawdor. If good, why do I yield to that suggestion whose horrid image doth unfix my hair and make my seated heart knock against my ribs against the use of nature? What's against the use of nature? What is the natural order of things? How should Duncan die in the natural order of things? Should he be brutally murdered and stabbed in his sleep by someone who wants the throne? That's not the natural order of things. He needs to die of old age because that's the natural order of things. Okay, if he's brutally murdered, that's unnatural. But if you have a look here, all of this bit is him going, this horrid image, that's Duncan dead. That's Scotland without the father, without the figure, without the leader. And to make my seated heart knock against my ribs. He's really nervous, really, really nervous. Now, Elizabeth here has, no, not Elizabeth, Beryl has put Elizabeth, vigour. Elizabeth didn't die. She also died without children, apparently. Okay, so she died without kind of inheritance, and then by a really convoluted route, we now have James. So this could be the whole idea of the imperial theme, and lineage and inheritance is a really, really sort of hot topic in England, because we've got this crazy Scottish chap sitting on an English throne, and we loved Elizabeth. She was beloved of us. She was the warrior queen. And now we've got a crazy Scot who isn't her child. So the whole Tudor dynasty has been stopped, and now we've got a flipping Stuart. So this idea of dynasty, okay? He's nervous about the loss of the dynasty, the loss of Duncan's dynasty. So let's have a look at what we've got here. Against the use of nature, can you underline that, please? Okay. And I've put an arrow, break the chain of being. And I've put God, and then I've put an arrow saying the witches. Okay. And then he said, present fears are less than horrible imaginings. This is all this idea of it's in his mind. Okay. My thought, whose murder is yet but fantastical, it's an imagined, he can picture the murder, shakes so my single state of man that function is smothered in surmise, and nothing is but what is not. So he's really confused. Okay, so he's confused here. So I've put a box around function, which also means action. He's confused with the good choices versus the bad speculation. Then I've circled murder and put regicide. And again, illegitimate killing is another thing to index. Okay, so killing on the battlefield is a completely different kettle of fish than killing unnaturally. If you die on the battlefield, that's the natural order of things. You know, it's like a Klingon. It's a good day to die on the battlefield. You don't die on the battlefield, and you are killed. That is an unnatural way of dying. So that's a murder, and sort of death and killing is a thing to index, because there's quite a bit of it going on in the play. Okay, but also tying that in with regicide, because we know about killing the father, which is patricide. Okay, Duncan is effectively the father of Scotland, if you will. Banquo, who's on a different part of the stage, is like, look how our partner's wrapped. We repeated that word again. Look how absorbed he is in this concept. Look how focused he is on what you've said and about Duncan's, celebration of him. And here, remember, he's talking to Angus and Ross. He's not talking to Macbeth. So this is Macbeth, this is Banquo talking with the other two at a separate part of the play. They then quieten down, light comes up on Macbeth, and then he just continues. He goes, if chance, can you circle chance and put fate? That's providence. There's also the weird witches. If chance will have me king, why chance may crown me. Yes, you're absolutely right. Look at the lineage. It could happen. It will happen before he dies, but it's not necessarily going to happen tomorrow. So between tomorrow and when he dies, he will at some point become king, because that's the fate. That's what he's going to do. He's fourth in line. It's fate. Okay, the witches haven't lied. And he's saying, without my stir. What does that mean? Dom. Good. Without him doing anything, just breathing, somewhere, hook or by crook, he will become king. He doesn't need to do it. He could be king when he's 80. Duncan would have died by then, because he's a bit of an old man. Malcolm, who knows, infected toenail. Donald, fall off a cliff. You never know. In the whole scheme of things, Macbeth will probably be king at some point. Banquo is now trying to kind of keep things going. So we go down on Macbeth, we come back up on Banquo. And he's trying to justify what Macbeth is kind of fussing about. New honours come upon him. But like strange garments, cleave not to their mould, but with the aid of use. Okay, so he's kind of talking about the strange garment of cord, or he's a little bit unsure about the cord, or Macbeth was a little bit sort of tentative when Ross and Angus came over with what's going on. We go back into Macbeth's head. Come what come may, time and the hour runs through the roughest day. So despite everything, fate will take his course. He doesn't need to do anything. That's what it means. And Beowulf's put a note here. Despite things, okay, fate, what did she say? Despite things to fate their course. Things, yeah, despite things to take their course. Things are going to happen naturally because that's the way it works. It will get warmer. We will have warmer weather. When? Don't know yet. Likelihood? Highly. Climate change. Okay? Back to Banquo. Worthy Macbeth. Can you circle that? Where can you link that to? We've got a couple of points now that we can link this to. We've very nearly finished the scene. A couple of points we can link this to. Edie, give me one.
When the scene to Captain speaking to him, he says, "Obeying wasn't worthy then."
Good. Give me another point where Macbeth's worth is reinforced. Where is Macbeth's worth reinforced? Ellie?
Right after the witches have just told him and Banquo calls him noble.
Good. And actually, Banquo's doing a lot of this, isn't he? He's reinforcing Macbeth's goodness. Why do you think he's doing that? Edie?
Oh, because then it makes Banquo look like they switch roles basically.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout. It does kind of make Banquo to possibly switch roles, but it also means that Banquo believes in Macbeth, and I think he does. Ellie?
I was going to say, because like when Macbeth fails, it means his fall's going to be like a lot harder.
Absolutely. When Macbeth fails, his fall to disgrace is going to go down. Is going to go down with a bump. Okay. If Banquo elevates Macbeth, keeps him elevated, so really, really high in perspective and stature and good value and good status and because of good perspective, when he basically messes up, and he does in a fairly major way, he will plummet down, and it makes that fall even harder. Okay. And that's really important. That's a technical thing that Shakespeare's doing. It's all very, very dramatic. Okay, it's a bit of a structural thing as well. So we're anticipating, again, nothing good of this is going to happen, and we are waiting for this fall. So it builds up the tension behind what's happening here. We know that the witches have basically marked his card. We know something unpleasant is going to happen. He's already thinking about the word murder. It's the first time that word is used. He's said the word murder. As an audience member, we have heard the word murder in the same thought as the king. That is not good. We are worried about what's happening to Macbeth. We're concerned about his mindset. We're concerned about what have the witches done to him to make this glorious, glorious man say the word murder. Okay? He's not comfortable with it because when he talks about the hair unfixing him, it's about he's getting goosebumps at the back of his head. Literally, the hair's stand at the back of his neck. Okay? Banquo calls him back out of his mind, wakes him up effectively. Okay? Macbeth then comes to again, so Banquo kind of brings him back into the room. Give me your favour, my dull brain was wrought with things forgotten. Ha 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 ha. He's now excusing him. He's trying to come up with a reason and an excuse for what he was doing. Can you just put it like a mini star? Because that excuse is explained away again in Act 3. So his lack of sort of focus and being completely lost in his thoughts and not really being present, if you will. This line here. Okay. He is agitated. Okay, so Beryl has written agitated. He is agitated. He blames that on a heat-oppressed brain. That comes up a bit later. And also Lady Macbeth blames that for his behaviour in Act 3, Scene 3. Then he says, kind gentlemen, your pains are registered. I'm so grateful for your efforts to come and find me, where every day I turn the leaf to read them. Led us toward the king. Why might Beryl had written ominous irony? Why might that now be a bit of an ominous irony? Ominous is dark. It's not particularly pleasant. Okay, so she's basically highlighted that. Led us toward the king. Ominous irony. Edie?
Because
He's going to kill the king. Who then is next in line to be the king when Duncan goes? Jack? Malcolm. Malcolm runs away. Donalbain runs away. And then ironically, hey, in steps Macbeth, as if by magic. Okay, so that's the ominous, nothing's good that's going to happen with this one here. Think upon what hath chanced and make more time. The interim having weighed, let us speak our free hearts together. Banquo's like, yep, that sounds great. Okay, till then enough, come on, let's off we go. One thing also behind this as well is in this next scene. So this is what we have. It's a really lovely segue between sort of the end of this part into the next scene. So the tension kind of begins to dribble away. Is also when Macbeth starts making more ideas, the fact that he's got dark thoughts, okay, and unpleasant thoughts as well. So, in terms of some questions that I'd like you to answer, can you please go back to the sheet where I'm going to